if Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
Jake Paul, I mean, as long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine. But once he fights a real fighter, a real fighter that can really fight, it's not gonna be that good.
He told me before his goal is to fight Canelo, so that's where his mindset's at.
He'll get up by Canelo. He'll get demolished.
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua has not yet been formally broken down by Joe Rogan and Floyd Mayweather. However, everyone in the combat sports community is discussing what they would say if they did. And honestly, you can already imagine the fireworks, because this matchup is one of the most shocking, chaotic, unpredictable fights boxing has ever seen. Joe Rogan would likely say exactly what millions of fans are thinking if he were currently seated in the studio. He would describe this matchup as completely crazy. He would argue that by taking on a man who has defeated giants, Jake Paul is entering true heavyweight territory.
Yeah, I think WWE is good for Logan and Jake Paul, maybe? Easy. Too easy. It's too easy. Too easy. At 48, too easy.
But it sounds like AJ's going to fight Jake Paul. I mean, if he's true to his word, if he really wants the fight, I mean, it's all very well saying, what did he say? I'll knock it, he's got a weak chin.
Jake Paul just spoke to Oscar there and said, Anthony Joshua has a weak chin, I will knock him out.
Well, look, if he's true to his word, the fight will happen.
Next.
But whenever I know, but I can't believe, and it's great that Tyson Fury is saying that Jake Paul's going to win, and people, I mean, like, maybe I've just lost my mind. But if they truly want that fight, I reached out to Nikisa earlier. We're going to have a chat next week. If they truly want the fight, we can make actually the fight that does the biggest numbers in the sport. Forget Canelo Crawford. That doesn't even touch the surface of, and I can't believe I'm saying it, of AJ against Jake Paul.
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. That automatically makes me two-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on, like you can't be serious. He can't beat me. I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So it's just ludicrous. It really is.
Joe would explain the differences in speed, size, and power, but he would never stop saying the same phrase that usually sparks these discussions. In a fight, anything can happen. That is what makes this whole thing so bizarre. Furthermore, Floyd Mayweather would say something even more intriguing if he discussed this in public. Floyd has consistently maintained that Jake Paul is deserving of praise because to his self-promotion, risk-taking, and fighting skills.
Do you regret the Joshua fight not happening?
No, I don't. I don't regret anything. Life's too short for regrets.
What do you think of Jake Paul calling him out?
I think it's a good fight. I think it's a real 50-50 fight.
I've got a problem with this one because Anthony Joshua is a two-time world champion. Jake Paul's a YouTuber and doesn't deserve the right to be in a ring with Anthony.
Well, don't buy the fight then.
It's dangerous. We saw what Anthony Joshua had done to Francis Ngannou. This is a fight.
I know, but what I'm
People
saying
are going in there, their health is at risk.
But the only reason they
put someone in there in a ring.
I know, Jay.
And say the only reason we're doing it is for money. That don't sit right with me.
Fine, then don't buy it.
Is Jake Paul at risk, and isn't everything about money? And who cares?
Of course he is, but that's what bothers me, right? If Anthony Joshua was to do what he done to Ngannou to Jake Paul, that's like life-changing injuries, potentially fatal. There's got to be some sort of contract being signed here, like, look, pull your punches a little bit, mate. If it was real, it'd be dangerous. But the annoying thing is people are going to go on about this as if it is real. And for me, it can't be.
Jake Paul he doesn't have to get in the ring with Anthony Joshua for $50 million. He's got $50 million. So for him to do this, get on the biggest stage in the world, which is Netflix, and fight a 2 times heavyweight world champion, you've got to have a big, giant set of balls, right? Now you might think, well, look, Anthony Joshua's 36 years old. He's past it. No, mate. Alexander Usyk was the world heavyweight champion, probably the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world at heavyweight. He's 38 years old. If you look at history over time, a lot of heavyweights seem to prime as they get older. Now, a problem for Anthony Joshua is his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years, and one of them, he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight, and a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer, and he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now, Jake Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023, and one of them was against Mike Tyson. But we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime. Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, well, I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime, because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched, and I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now, come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had 1, where AJ's had 43.
Even though Floyd doesn't think Jake Paul is a great boxer, he just thinks he is a wonderful student of the sport, someone who trains diligently, someone who is sincere in his desire to learn, and someone who is prepared to take risks that most fighters would never take. And facing Anthony Joshua is evidence of it. The boxing community as a whole is divided. Jake Paul is entering a nightmare, according to half of the community, who are laughing. Jake Paul has balls of steel for even signing this contract, according to the other half. It is the greatest risk he has ever faced in his career. This battle has the potential to drastically alter his life, because Jake Paul will receive a level of respect that no social media celebrity in combat sports history has ever received if he even makes it through more than a few rounds against Anthony Joshua.
And number-wise, the biggest fight in boxing history. Ever. The biggest viewed fight in boxing history ever. And there's been some great fights over time. That is insane, isn't it? And the highest paid fighters as well. What Jake Paul, they're an estimated £170 million split between these two. But Jake Paul, is he really that deluded that he thinks he's going to go in there and beat Anthony Joshua?
Do you think he thinks he can do it, Simon?
I don't know what
he's not short in confidence.
I don't know what he thinks, but what he does do is he markets himself in the space that he operates in. I don't get this Jake Paul or Logan Paul phenomenon, but I'm not the audience. It doesn't matter what I get. The opportunity for Netflix is that it's a drive to subscribe. They'll pay the $100 million, and the wraparound fees that come from sponsorship and the event attendance. We saw that $20 million was generated in gate receipts for the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight. So we know this is $160 million fight. We know that it makes sense to Netflix to do it, because in the last fight that they had with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, they developed 2 million new subscribers. The average lifetime value of a subscriber is $900. So if you look at that and say they're going to generate $2 billion in potential increased revenues as a result of paying these fighters £100 million, you can see the metrics of it. They're also retaining their base. They're also moving content into a different space, which is sport. So it all makes sense. It's like the mobile phone industry that I knew very well used to sell phones for nothing so people could get the airtime. And the airtime was where the money is. The content delivery is where the subscribers go to, and then they pay their subscription. So we all understand the model. As far as the fight is concerned, oh no, don't be silly. I mean, Anthony Joshua can go in his nightgown and beat Jake Paul. The issue is, does he hurt Jake Paul? How curated it is. I debated it with boxers, with Paul Smith and Duke McKenzie and Spencer, about would Joshua going in with a mindset, which is he knows he doesn't have to get out of second gear, so he doesn't have to do to Jake Paul what people fear he might do, which is knock him into the next life.
He goes to Jake Paul. The cojones this motherfucker has, from a Disney kid to YouTube he can fight anyone, get views, and make fucking money. This crazy wild boy sends out the bat signal, the British bat signal for Anthony motherfucking Joshua. You know how crazy that is? Now, I'll say this. I don't think any of Jake Paul's fights are fixed in any capacity. At all. Not even close. I don't get down that narrative. Again, I know online that's a fun narrative, all that shit. I will say this, though. My spidey senses will go off if Anthony Joshua doesn't absolutely mop the floor with him. Now, kudos to Jake for taking this fight. My God, dude, you are a brave young man. You deserve every cent for that fight. My word, dude, there's so much respect. So much respect. He worked so hard at the craft. That's amazing. Kudos to you. Here's the reality. Anthony Joshua is a gold medalist in the Olympics. He's a multiple-time world champion. He's fought the best of the best. He's not really over the hill either. If Jake Paul was just another boxer with his resume and his experience, he's about a mid-blue belt. If we're giving you belts like jiu-jitsu, he's probably a blue belt, fighting in main events and all this stuff. If this fight isn't an absolute domination by Anthony Joshua, my spidey senses will go off. Now, that's not to say that I'm not saying Jake Paul has any language in the contract. There's no foul play whatsoever on Jake Paul's part. My skeptical hippo eyes or my spidey senses will come off that Anthony Joshua's not taking this real and he's not putting his best performance forward.
The strategy behind this matchup is the crazy part. The strain starts to change if Joshua is somehow pulled into dangerous situations by Jake Paul. Jake is faster, lighter, younger, and much more erratic. He makes strange shots. He employs odd angles. He doesn't fight in a conventional heavyweight manner. In every area, Joshua is the superior boxer. However, Jake is counting on mayhem. He is relying on his right hand, which he thinks can dent anyone if it lands clean, as well as movement, cardio, and timing. According to analysts, this could be the most risk a contemporary fighter has ever taken. Jake Paul went from facing a considerably smaller opponent to fighting a full-size heavyweight champion. The world is unable to look away because that kind of jump is unprecedented. The game is not being played safely by Jake Paul. He wants to demonstrate that he belongs in the same conversation as true warriors, which is why he is going for the top. This fight is one of the rare instances where boxing feels unexpected again. Perhaps Anthony Joshua destroys him. Perhaps Jake Paul makes it out alive and surprises everyone. Perhaps he lands something that no one anticipates. No one is aware. People like Joe Rogan, Floyd Mayweather, and all of the prominent sports analysts are watching this with genuine fascination because of this. Regardless of your opinion of Jake Paul, this is the biggest, riskiest, and most daring battle of his life. The world will be discussing this matchup for years, regardless of whether he wins or loses.